Do you know a weird memory that stays in my head? I remember it like it was yesterday. We were living in Ohio. I was young. I would guess 9, 8, 9. I don't know. I was young. And I get on the school bus out in front of my house. We live kind of out in the country in Ohio. I get on the school bus, and we're on this busy road. Cars zooming by all the time. And I look over, and there's something in the road, some kind of roadkill, I think, of some kind. My memory is a little fuzzy on what it was, but there was something in the road. And there were 2 squirrels in the middle of the road. This busy road, cars zooming by. No one's coming by because the school bus has stopped everybody. We're talking 50 miles an hour, cars are zooming by. And these 2 squirrels in the middle of the road are fighting with each other over who gets claim to whatever this roadkill stuff, nuts were, who knows, whatever it was they were trying to eat. So these 2 squirrels fighting with each other. No, that's mine. And no, it's mine. In the middle of this busy highway. And I still remember this when I was a child, looking and thinking to myself, then those squirrels are going to die. That's exactly how I think right now when I look at this budget situation that everybody's talking about right now. The budget, the big budget fight. Do we do a continuing resolution? Do we fund it for 30 days? Do we fund it to the end of the year? Here's Kevin McCarthy out there saying, nobody wants a shutdown.
It's a good thing I love a challenge. Every day is going to be a challenge. We got a long week. We're not September 30th yet, but the one thing I'll tell everybody, I've never seen anybody win a shutdown. You only put the power in the hands of the administration. If you want to secure the border, pass Homeland. If you want to make America strong and secure, you pass the DOD appropriations bill. If you're not willing to pass appropriation bills, and you're not willing to pass a continuing resolution to allow you to pass the rest of appropriation bills, and you don't want an omnibus, I don't quite know what you want. So, I mean, we just have to get together, figure it out, and move forward.
Okay, so that's Kevin McCarthy negotiating in the media is what they call that. Obviously, he could have these conversations and has had these conversations behind closed doors. That's him throwing a little bomb out there at the people who are kind of opposing him. McCarthy, the establishment type, he just wants to sign it all and just keep going. Who's he throwing a bomb at? Well, he's throwing that bomb at somebody like our good friend Chip Roy, who has come on this show many times and talks about things that he wants.
And what the question is going to be on September 30th is, are we going to rubber stamp a continuing resolution that is a bill that will keep government funded at last year's levels? Are we going to maintain that status quo? If we do, then we're maintaining the funding and the priorities of the Biden administration, and at the grossly high level from last December. Our position is that we should not do that. We should limit those funds and or get massive policy changes, starting first with the border and ensuring that we actually change what's happening at the border with respect to the assault on Texas and endangering our country, but also dealing with things like the Department of Justice, the Department of Defense and its wokeness. And frankly, I'm just going to be blunt, Jesse. I'm saying to my Republican leadership, pick a damn fight. Name one thing you're proud of your Republican majorities doing in the last 30 years. In my lifetime, I can't remember a damn thing that Republican leadership and Republican majorities have ever given the American people. Nothing. They talk about welfare reform. They talk about tax cuts for, corporations. Come on. Like, when have they stood up and fought for you or me? Okay? And that's what we need to do.
Yeah. Okay. Obviously, I fall more on the side of Chip. He wants some cuts. He wants some adjustments made. We got to cut this. We got to get that. Let's get a win at the border. So you got Kevin. He just wants to sign everything. Chip, he wants some real cuts. He wants some policy wins for you and me. You got Jim Jordan kind of making a prediction out there. Remember, Jim's in leadership. Wow, just a continuing resolution.
So I think the smart move, frankly, is to execute the play that we put in motion back during the debt ceiling agreement and says, let's pass the CR to early next year, sometime in March, not one till December, like March 1st, say, because on January 1st, if we're in a continuing resolution, there's an automatic across the board 1% cut that kicks in. It'd be one of the few times we've actually totally, reduced discretionary spending in this capital. So I would be for that. Here's a CR to March, and now we can fight for the policies that we think make sense, things we want to do different with your tax dollars at the FBI, as an example, things we want to do at the Department of Homeland Security and say you can't use any money to set up a disinformation governance board, and number of policy riders that get attached. If it's some short-term CR, then I'd put on one good policy and send it to the Senate and dare them to not accept that.
Okay. Kevin wants to keep going. Chip wants some big cuts. Sounds like Jim kind of wants a CR until March. Okay. Those are all interesting positions, and I don't know where you fall on any of those positions. Interesting. It's very interesting. Except for this one little fact. We're $33 trillion in debt. Why are we negotiating any of this? $33 trillion in debt. I'm going to play this for you again. I know you already saw it on the show. Maybe because I'm upset, you're not going to listen to me. Peter Schiff is the man who accurately predicted the 2008 financial disaster that hit this country. Do you remember what Peter Schiff came on this show and said? And as you watch Peter Schiff, as you watch him say, again, what you've already seen him say on this show, I want you to keep in the back of your mind that Republicans and Democrats, as we speak, as you're watching this show, they are currently all meeting in this big gaggle in D.C. to discuss where these billions go and those billions, hundreds of billions of dollars. Hundreds of billions of dollars. Hey, who should get this? And more for them and more for them. Oh, we can't afford to cut 1% there or even 11% or a little percent there. I want you to watch Peter Schiff and keep in mind they're all discussing how to spend billions as we speak.
All these things that we've spent money on over the years, over the decades, we've borrowed. We haven't collected enough taxes from Americans to pay for the spending. And so we've built this $33 trillion debt mountain. And that's just the tip of the mountain because there's a lot of debt that is unfunded that we still are obligated to pay. The U.S. government has co-signed a lot of liabilities. And when you add that all together, you're talking about hundreds of trillions of dollars. It is completely unpayable. And historically, the way governments get out of this situation is through inflation. They just print away the value of their liabilities, but they destroy everybody's savings and everybody's, paper assets and their wages in the process.
I just want to make sure that this is broken down in a way we can all understand. I can understand, you can understand, so I'm going to explain it to you this way with an analogy. Even a little different than the two squirrels analogy. I want you to imagine this. There's you and there's me. And we are sitting in a life raft in the middle of the ocean. And we're looking down. I just read this horrific World War II story tomorrow about a wreck. It doesn't matter. But I remember the sailors are all looking down and they're seeing these huge sharks, 12, 15, 16-foot sharks swimming underneath them. And so we know that that's in the water underneath us. You, me, life raft. And the life raft has all these bricks in the middle of it. So many bricks that it's starting to break the life raft. It's starting to come apart. Holes are popping in the life raft and the water's coming in. And I know, and you know, if that life raft goes down, we are all going to die. You and me are going to die. And instead of sitting there in the life raft with an emergency meeting discussing just how many bricks we're going to throw off the life raft, both parties, as we speak, are sitting there in Washington, D.C., discussing just how many more bricks we should load into the life raft. That's what I think about right now when I think about this budget fight and continuing resolution. And should we cut 1% here? Uh-oh, millions may die. 5% there. There is a fiscal avalanche of hell and misery coming for this nation because of our debt and our unfunded liabilities. You cannot survive as a nation with your debt this far exceeding your GDP. It has never been done in the history of mankind. And when that fiscal disaster finally gets here, you, me, your kids, their kids after them will have a drastically reduced standard of living than we have ever known. And the avalanche is coming down the mountain, and we're sitting there playing solitaire at the bottom. What an unserious country. What an unserious government. What an unserious Congress we have. These people are sitting around dividing up money as if we have some. Lunacy. I think back about those squirrels. Me sitting there as a kid thinking, man, those squirrels, they're so stupid. Squirrels are going to get mowed down. Those squirrels are just like us.